Welcome back to Living Locals. COVID-19 has changed the landscape of nearly every aspect of our lives. Daily errands, work, education, travel, the list goes on. So what if you're needing to buy or sell a home during these circumstances? It might look a little different than before the pandemic took hold, but there are ways to move forward. Joining us in studio to tell us more about that is our friend Kyle Robinson with eXp Realty. Kyle, great to have you back in studio.
Thanks, Brittany. I appreciate it.
So, Kyle, how has the pandemic impacted the real estate market? I think it's a question many of us are wondering.
Well, when we first found out about COVID-19, we were definitely very scared on what it could do to the landscape of the real estate market. And I'll be honest, it's my best year in real estate I've ever had in the last 7 years. So I've been blessed for that. There's many realtors and areas around the country that did not have the same blessing that we did here. There was a lot of reasons for that. I think that there were people out there still wanting to move, and they, felt safe during this time, whereas there's a lot of people with, other underlying health risks, and I don't want them out there being affected by it. So I think there was still a big scope of people that were interested in, either exploring buying a home or selling a home. One big thing that we had a problem with, or we still have a problem with, is the lack of inventory. So there's a lot of sellers that are selling and getting more money than they probably ever will in the next couple of years just due to limited inventory.
Wow, the best year yet in 7 years as a realtor. That is really encouraging news. Kyle, how has the pandemic impacted the workflows of realtors out there? Have they had to adapt or change their regular routines to do their job?
Absolutely we did. Obviously public safety is our number one priority, and we want to make sure that we're out there practicing real estate safely. So we definitely had conversations throughout the real estate community on how to do that. There was a lot of things that we have done differently and make sure that we ask underlying questions. Have you been sick in the last 2 weeks? Or some questions that we definitely want to make sure that we know the answers to prior to meeting somebody, possibly a stranger as well. So the realtors also had to adapt. There was a lot of people that asked for video or virtual tours. So that's something that we definitely moved into our business model. We've been using that prior to, but there were a lot of realtors who were not. So yeah, it definitely changed the landscape in which we are going to do business probably for the future.
Right.
So,
I was wondering if the virtual tours became more popular during the pandemic.
They did, but certainly it's not going to be the same experience as if doing it in person. But we do a lot of virtual tours for people that are moving into the area from not around here, right? That can't necessarily be here the minute a house goes on the market. So we offer the service that we'd be more than happy to go over and do a virtual tour for them with the seller's consent, that is, and make sure that it's something they're interested in prior to maybe making a flight out here. But in these cases, definitely there was a lot of sellers that didn't want buyers that weren't interested in their homes. So I think that was one of the things that why a lot of virtual tours are happening, is just to make sure that there's interest in the property rather than just seeing pictures. You can actually see the layout and see the flow of it. And then at that point, if they're interested, then you have a serious buyer. The seller feels better about it, especially during these times.
Right, like the virtual tour is almost like a preliminary type of step. It's like, okay, how interested are you? Because you don't want to have to go to the property or the home at this time unless you're really interested. And I think that probably both buyers and sellers feel the same about that, because with everything that's happening in the world.
Absolutely, and sometimes it's very difficult to get an idea of the actual layout of a home through pictures. So there's companies called like Matterport. We've done walkthrough videos, just especially on the bigger homes, because there's a lot of times where maybe that layout won't work, or maybe that layout will be a big selling point. So we want people to see that and see it as fast as possible, even before they get in the home.
Now let's approach this from whether you're a buyer or seller. Buyers first. So if I'm a buyer and I want to get that in-person tour, are there certain precautions that I should be taking as a buyer before I go into somebody's home that's on the market?
Absolutely. Certainly, as a realtor, if there's any realtors out there that are practicing while they're sick, they should not be, right? So that's something that hopefully with our level of professionalism in the business, we should be taking the precaution if somebody calls us to say up front. But if a buyer is more than willing to ask, hey, have you been sick, right? Because I would ask the same question if somebody was asking me that, right? So definitely as a buyer, I would caution yourself on opening a lot of doors. So that's things that we're telling sellers, and that's probably going to lead into your next question. But sellers, we're asking them to leave doors open. A lot of our agents are taking hand sanitizer to their listings. We're putting gloves out. We have booties that we've always had. So certain things like that, precautions, but just opening less things is definitely the the attitude that we're having right now, because there's less things for the seller to have to come back and worry about touching and cleaning up.
That's great that you guys are being proactive with those steps. Do you have any general advice for folks who are buying or selling during the summer when circumstances surrounding COVID-19 are still pretty uncertain?
You know, I'm going to say this. Definitely, if you have immune or compromised immune system or anything like that, definitely stay home. There'll be more houses when you're ready. But if you're ready, willing, and able to sell your house right now, and you're willing to go look at houses, right now is a great time. We're selling a lot of homes. There's a lot of great things going on in the real estate community, and yeah, definitely take advantage of it.
And it sounds like you guys are taking the precautions necessary for folks who do feel comfortable going out and listing their house or selling their house. You guys are prioritizing health and safety.
That's correct. You know, as far as I understand, I'm very heavily involved in this real estate community. I haven't heard of anybody having any type of COVID from a showing or anything like that. So I feel like it's a pretty safe practice right now. So.
Fantastic. Well, Kyle, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Brittany.
All right, guys, for more information, visit therobinsongroupqc.com. We'll also have those details posted on ourquadcities.com.